This is Father Andrew Ritchie, and you're listening to Catholic Inspiration, a podcast from my website at studyprayserve.com. These homilies, presentations, and retreats form part of my ministry as a Catholic priest for the Diocese of Superior. And now I invite you to open your hearts to some Catholic inspiration. When I was in 7th grade, the world turned fuzzy. Up to that time, I could be anywhere in a classroom and easily read what was on the chalkboard. Didn't have any trouble. But then in my 7th grade year, I was starting to struggle, squinting more to make out what was on the board. One day, while I was doing a Clint Eastwood impression, one of my teachers, Mr. King, said, "Hey, can you stop and see me after class?" So I went up. He did a couple of basic tests with my sight. He said, "Andy, I'm afraid you're going to need eyeglasses. You're going to want to talk to your folks so they can set up an appointment with the eye doctor." Turns out he was right. I went down to the optometrist in our local town, and he ran a couple of tests, and sure enough, I needed glasses. Well, I remember having been tested and then having the glasses made up. They finally arrived. I remember trying them on for the first time and watching the world come back into focus. It was extraordinary. To go from that perceived fuzziness, haziness, into real clarity again. It's a great feeling. I take it for granted that my glasses are always nearby. In fact, I have a second pair just in case, because I rely on my sight so much. Most of us do. It's one of those senses that we have, tremendously powerful. When it's taken away from us, when because of illness or for those who are going blind or are blind, you have to use the other senses to make up for what we lose. Sight's important, and it's heavily relied on for most people. Well, today we have two examples of sight. In the gospel reading here in John's gospel, Jesus is going to heal a man who was born blind, never had the ability to see. And through the course of this chapter, the man is going to be healed, and a whole hubbub is going to happen with some of the leaders. But this man, imagine this, blind your whole life, you encounter Jesus, he heals you, and the first person you see is him. The first person you see is Jesus. That's extraordinary. And through the interaction, by the end of the chapter, this man is going to come to know and understand that Jesus is the Son of Man. Jesus is Lord. This guy is going to worship. This man who had been blind now can see, worships the one who healed him. That's how physical sight can lead us to God. On the first reading, which is taken from the first book of Samuel, Samuel is sent by God to Bethlehem, to a man named Jesse, who's got a bunch of sons. And God is going to choose a king from one of these boys. God will speak to Samuel who it is. Well, Samuel shows up. They have this big dinner. And he sees one of the boys. This guy's name is Eliab. And he immediately goes, "Wow, that must be the guy. He looks like a king." But I love this line. I've always loved this phrase. "Not as man sees does God see," because man sees the appearance, but the Lord looks into the heart. In other words, Samuel thought from the appearance it was going to be one guy. God says, no, not him. I see it a little differently. There are 7 boys at this dinner, and Samuel isn't told by God it's any of them, so is there another one? Yes, the youngest is out tending the flocks, and when King David, before he's king, comes in, Samuel will anoint him. And in that moment, the Spirit will rush upon David, and he will grow to be the king of Israel. Not as man sees. We often see the appearance. But God looks into the heart. Now, this is a different kind of sight. It's a spiritual sight that brings clarity and focus. It's the kind of sight that says, okay, I'm going to look a little deeper. I'm going to seek out what's really going on here. It can be a great aid to wisdom, insight, the ability to discern, especially in difficult moments. Now here, Samuel is guided by God with a different kind of sight to choose the next king of Israel. And so this kind of sight, equally important, allowed the right decision to be made with God's guidance. This requires being close to the Lord, so that the Lord can help prompt us and direct us in a very specific way, especially when we're uncertain of the path. Friends, we are now in the 4th week of Lent. We're over halfway. And the question for us, in light of these particular readings, is how clearly do we see in our world today? Does our physical sight help us and lead us back to God? Are we looking for the ways in which the Holy Spirit is working and moving in our lives? And are we praying at a daily level that God will help us with spiritual sight, that we might discern what to do, how to live, how to act, how to interact? Because there's plenty of distractions, there's plenty of difficulties, there's plenty of things that are hazy and are hard to fathom. We need all the tools and all the help we can get. And just like Samuel was close to the Lord, in our daily prayer, when we call upon the Lord and ask for that spiritual sight so that we can make the right decisions and respond swiftly and in a focused way when we understand that God is prompting us, directing us, and leading us. Friends, that's a powerful gift. How's your sight? What needs to be sharpened? What needs to be adjusted? Do we need a new set of spiritual eyeglasses for the soul? The kinds of glasses that will help us to understand what is happening around us, to see it so it leads us to God, and then to call upon God that in the uncertainties we know the path to follow. Both Samuel could see clearly. Jesus healed a man who could see for the first time. May we come before the Lord today that our sight, both physical and spiritual, might be sharpened so we can respond to the Lord's call. God bless you all. This is Father Andrew, and I hope this podcast inspires your faith. Now, if you found it helpful, please share it with a friend, and you can help me by leaving a rating and a review. I keep all my listeners in my daily prayers, and I ask for your prayers in return. God bless you, my friends.